thing, if you don't have electricity, most people's ovens and stoves and everything run on electricity. So if you
Yep.
don't have a big enough generator to run your oven, how are you going to cook food? You know, if it's 0 outside, I'm not real apt to go out and grill a steak, honestly. I'll do it if I have to, but
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Homestead HQ, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. I am Shelly.
and I'm Jason. Guys, it's glad to have y'all back. Your hair looks fine.
It feels, I got a thing here. Okay. Sorry.
All right. We are done with Christmas, and it's kind of like with Christmas, it's like there's this whole big lead up with Christmas. It's like, oh, it's going to be Christmas tomorrow, this and that, and all this, and all the excitement. And then, like, at the end of Christmas Day, you're like, Christmas is over. Now what? So, and everybody knows I'm. Everybody
Wait
knows
till
I'm.
everybody moves out, man. I had something to drink here. Wait till all your kids are gone. Like, it's just weird not having people at your house. Which this year, Heather, our third daughter, her and her boyfriend came and spent the night, and she's got 2 little boys, and it was fun having them here and watching them open presents and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just Randy and I are empty nesters, and it's just weird, you know.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of weird with. I mean, of course, my dad had a stroke several years ago and everything, so he doesn't get out much. So it's like Christmas, our Christmas dinner, Christmas night, or Christmas Day that afternoon. You know, mom and dad didn't come up, but we understood that and everything. But we went to their house on Christmas Eve. But like Christmas dinner was just me and my wife and our youngest son. Then my brother came up, so it was kind of like, yay, we had enough prime rib for everybody though. So I think I'm going to scarf that down after this. But yeah, it's kind of like the whole Christmas thing. It's a build up, and then the next day it's kind of like, okay, it's over. Now what? So now everybody's looking for New Year's, and heck, I took the week off essentially, and it's like, what day is it? I kept thinking it was. I couldn't figure out what day it was half the time. So the rain.
What's the coolest thing you got for Christmas?
I got probably the coolest thing I got. Whitney had. I don't know if it's like laser etched or what, but it's a little piece of wood. What?
You sure it wasn't a solar powered cooler?
Whitney got the solar powered cooler. That was the coolest thing.
Whitney got the solar powered cooler.
Yes, Whitney got the solar powered cooler, and she actually thought that was super cool.
She liked it.
Yes, she was like,
so she actually opened it. You didn't open.
No, she opened it, and it was funny. Like, I had her open the solar panel first, and she looked at me. She's like, "What in the hell am I going to do with the solar panel?"
Right.
I was like, "Open the next present." She opened it up, and she was like, "No way!" She was like, "You didn't buy this," and I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's what the solar panel's for." So she legit thought it was pretty cool. So, and I played with it a little bit. I charged the battery on it, and after the battery was charged, it was just sitting in the house, and I'm like, I want to see how long it takes to get cool. So I put the battery in there, turned it on, and it was at 63 degrees on the inside. So I set it to 0 Fahrenheit. It took right around 2 hours and 15 minutes to get down to 0 degrees from 63 degrees.
That's pretty good.
So I'm like, that's pretty neat. And I wanted to take it out today and plug a solar panel in it and see how it charged, but it's been pretty much rainy and overcast all day. I'm like, it's not going to get any juice. So maybe tomorrow, if it's sunny, maybe it'll come out and see what I can do with it. But now the coolest present that I got, actually, it's I don't know, 8x8, something like that, on a nice little piece of wood, and it's got a picture that she took with her phone when Lincoln was riding his 4-wheeler. I was behind him, and it's like printed on there or something like that, and it makes it look like it's old or something. I was like, that's cool as all get out.
That's
so
nice.
Maybe I'll stick it up on the back wall back here sometime. But it's pretty cool. I like stuff like that. But I did get a Milwaukee leaf blower. That's pretty cool.
There you go.
And then of course, my parents, when you get old enough, your parents just give you money and they're like, here, go buy what you want to. So
that's kind of where I'm at.
Huh?
So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. Buying Christmas is just, I love buying Christmas for my grandkids, but this year instead of buying presents for them, we bought a trip.
Yeah.
So.
Did you get anything cool? I know you got something cool because you sent me a picture. Tell everybody.
I did. Randy got me a second electric canner, pressure canner. You can do water bath canning in it and pressure canning in it. So I was really excited about that because I know it sounds weird to have two, but you can only can like 4 quarts at a time. So I wanted a second one. So he got me that. And I think my kids are getting the memo that we, are trying to be sustainable, because this year it seems like that's what I got on my, for my kids. So, Jessica bought me this really cool cheese grater. That's not one of those things that you like shred cheese and shred your knuckles in the process. Yeah, it's like this thing with a crank. Yeah. So I was really happy with that. And then Samantha bought me a digital scale it has like the platform thing that you set on the table, and then the scale, the digital readout that hangs on the wall behind it. And it can weigh up to like 350 pounds or something like that. I was really excited about that because, like I can use that for soap making. I can use it when we butcher animals and weigh the meat and all that kind of stuff. So I was really happy about that. And then my brother gave me a pew pew. I'm not going to say what kind of pew pew, but I was very happy with the pew pew that he gave me. So.
Oh yeah, I'm jealous of that scale. I'm going to have to buy one of those now. So I've been wanting one like that. I've been using just your cheap bathroom scale, and it's always a pain in the butt to use one of those things because you're like peeking over to see how much it weighs. Yeah,
I have a little kitchen scale and I actually use that for like shipping. I use it for weighing stuff in the kitchen. I use it for making soap. It's only like, I don't know, 8 inches by 5 inches or something like that. This thing is way bigger, and yeah, I love it.
They're like the size of a bathroom scale, aren't they?
It's actually a little bit bigger than our bathroom scale, but yeah.
I still think it'd be cool to have one of those old time ones like they used to have in the butcher store and the hardware store and stuff. They had like the metal cradle where you could throw like a whole thing on there.
Yep.
I have to find one of those and redo it one of these days.
I have one of those. You remember the ones that had like the cradle thing that were the baby scales that they had at the doctor's office?
Yeah.
I have one of those that actually works. And, it has the big dial on the front of it. It's a really old one, but I mean, it's not really practical. It's,
Well, but hey guys, before we get on the main topic, go to vacmasterfresh.com. They've got your chamber sealers, butchering accessories, butchering knives, bags, all that stuff. I didn't use my chamber sealer this week, surprisingly. I guess I wasn't doing much. I did everything before and hadn't used it this week. But yeah, go check out vacmasterfresh.com. Use the coupon code Homestead. That'll save you 15% off your order. Shelly, you probably used yours this week, didn't you?
I did. I got some good deals on some meat, and I used it to repackage them so we could, to freeze it. But yeah, I did.
Yours is a little bit handier compared to mine.
Well, I mean, I have mine in the house. You have yours out in the shop, so.
Yeah. I'm gonna break down and buy a smaller one to put in the house. I've decided I'm gonna do that pretty soon. So, also Signature Solar. Go to signaturesolar.com. Use the code Homestead. That'll save you some money on your order. That's where I got the solar powered cooler that we were talking about earlier. That thing's awesome. I'm going to do a video on it. Will be coming out soon. As soon as I get it all edited and that kind of stuff, it'll be out. But go to signaturesolar.com and check those guys out for all your solar stuff. So
I was talking to my brother-in-law today because he's wanting to do solar at their place. And I was telling him about Signature Solar and that he needs to check them out because they have the best prices. So,
oh yeah, as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to order another inverter and some panels and stuff like that, and get some more solar set up here. It's something I just keep putting off and putting off, and I'm like, I just got to bite the bullet and do it.
yeah.
What? Well, I guess homestead stuff we've kind of already talked about it. There hadn't been too much going on with me. I mean, other than feeding the animals and that kind of stuff, I hadn't done a whole lot. I've pretty much took this week and hung out with the family and done all the Christmas stuff. So
We've been doing some projects. We've been working on getting the turkey coop redone. We basically need to put the netting over the top of that because I want the birds to stay in there. And then we're in the middle. We've probably got it, I don't know, 75% done, but making a watering system for our rabbits. So it'll be heated. It'll keep the water warm. That way it'll circulate through. We've got all this tubing and fittings and little nipples and all of this kind of stuff. So we're going to be able to keep that water flowing through there, and because right now we water them with those little bottles that you stick on the outside of the cage. And in the wintertime, those get frozen. So we have to go out and get them and bring them in and thaw them out and take other ones out there and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a headache. So I'm hoping that when Darren and Patty were here for the festival in October, Patty went through the whole thing, how to do it. She sent me links to all the stuff that I needed to buy and all of that kind of thing. And so we have it. It's probably about 75% done. We've got to finish it up. Hopefully we'll get that done tomorrow.
Wow. I did, and I take it back. I did do a little bit of stuff. In the basement, I've got 2 closets that I never put shelves in. And for one of our upcoming expeditions and endeavors, I guess you could call it, that you and I are doing, I was like, I need some shelves in those closets to get some stuff organized. So, like, literally, I was cleaning old toys out that the kids had not played with in years. And I'm like, I'm chucking all this crap and getting it cleaned out. So I got those 2 closets and got shelves in those to where I can organize a bunch of stuff that we got coming in and have it all where I can go open the door, look at it, say, there's X, Y, and Z, and I can grab what I need and go with it.
Dude, so, you can probably make some money off those toys on eBay or something.
What?
Depending on how old they are.
Well, there's a bunch of Nerf guns, and it used to be you could resell Nerf guns, but now nobody wants to buy them. Like, you can't even give the Nerf guns away hardly. So if I'd have hit it 4 or 5 years ago, I could have made a buku of money on Nerf guns.
Probably.
Yeah. But there's some of the vintage stuff, like some of my old vintage stuff, like the G.I. Joe stuff that my parents had kept. I kept all that stuff, and one of these days I'll take it and sell it at the flea market or something and get $10 or something like that. So, have you got any news for us?
I do. It's kind of sad. Do you believe in Bigfoot? Are you a Bigfoot fan?
I think Bigfoot's real, but I don't believe in aliens.
But they just let all that stuff out about the aliens. And, when they were trying to distract us from other crap that's going on, they start telling us the truth about Area 51.
But I don't believe in aliens, but Bigfoot I think is real.
Well, there was 2 guys in Portland, Washington. Is there a Portland in Washington, or is it just in Oregon?
Oregon. There's a Portland, Tennessee.
Well, it's not Tennessee. Even though Bigfoot's supposed to be running around in Tennessee too. I don't know. But these guys were from Portland, Oregon. But on Christmas Eve, they set out looking for Sasquatch in the Washington National Forest. And at 1 a.m. on Christmas Day, family members reported them missing. And so over Christmas Day, there was a bunch of people out looking for them. One guy was 59. The other one was 37. They were both from Portland, Oregon. reported missing. They were found deceased in a heavily wooded area in Gifford Pinchot National Forest. Their deaths appear to be due to exposure based on weather conditions and ill preparedness. So I guess they set out looking for them on Christmas Eve and didn't have the proper gear or something like that. May have gotten lost in the woods. That kind of makes sense to me about what happened. But there were people that, they had a search crew. It was like 60 people. They spent Christmas week out looking in freezing temperatures, snow, high water levels, heavy rain downfall, and heavily wooded terrain until they found them and was able to take them home to their loved ones.
That's sad that they died, but then it's the whole. People do this stuff all the time. Why are you going to go look for trouble?
Well, why are you, if you're going to go traipsing through the woods, why are you not at least going to have the proper gear on?
Yeah.
We don't know what happened. And, it could have been, well, let's just go a little bit further or whatever. And then they end up lost and then they can't find, I don't know. We don't know because they can't tell us, obviously, but that's just, I don't know. It's just sad. Like, it just sucks. And condolences to those families. That's awful to lose them, but it's just sad.
But then it all goes back to is whether Bigfoot's real or not. Why are you going to go look for him? And it's like, why are you going to go kick the hornet's nest? I don't understand it. Like, I'm not. Are you
saying that you don't want to look for Bigfoot? You don't want to hunt for Bigfoot, or you think it's a bad idea to hunt for Bigfoot?
I think it's a bad idea to hunt for Bigfoot. Now, if I'm sitting on the front porch and Bigfoot comes out and it's like, sup, I'm going to be like, hey, that's cool. But I'm not.
Let's get a selfie, man.
Yeah. You got any Jack Links or what? I got some Links in the house kind of deal. It's like, come up here, we'll take a selfie. And, of course, the phone will die or something will happen and it'll never be real. But
it'll be blurry. Like, He'll be clear. He'll be blurry.
Yeah. But it's like, don't go looking for it.
Right.
So, I know, just like hunting, they say that there's like a big cat or a jaguar or something like that up on my uncle's place. And they say a mountain lion or some kind of crap. It gets bigger every time these people tell it that live out there.
Your uncle's place that we went to that day?
Yeah, in Allen County. And
that would have been nice to know before we went down there.
Well, they say it's been out there for years and everything. I don't go looking for it. If it's out there and it comes across me, that's cool. I've got a gun. I'm going to shoot you kind of deal. But, hey, I will tell you this. There's been 2 times I've been scared to death in the woods. There was one morning I was bow hunting, and for some reason I did not take a pistol with me. And I hear it sounds like a woman screaming like bloody murder. And I'm setting up in the deer stand with just a bow, and I'm like at the crack of dawn, hair standing up on the back of your neck and everything. I'm like, this is creepy as all get out. So I heard that, and they say that's like a big cat screaming or something. So I've heard it one other time out there, and it scared me to death. Like, just creepy, the hair on the back of your neck standing up.
Does a coyote sound like that, though?
No, this was not a coyote. I've heard enough coyotes. But it scared the crap out of me, and I make sure that I've always got a gun on me when I go up there from now on.
Huh.
So, but yeah, don't go looking for Bigfoot. And if you do, take enough supplies with you to make sure you're where you're at and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to go look for Bigfoot. I'm not going to go look for aliens or the Loch Ness Monster or the Chupacabra or whatever it is. I'm like,
now I can't say it. Chupacabra. Chupacabra.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Whatever. All that creepy crap. I'm going to go look for my sheep is what I'm going to go look for.
What if they're out there eating your sheep?
That's what I got Joe and Weezer for.
I have Loki, the couch pooch.
Yeah.
Randy seems to think that if we get a female that we can breed with him and like have puppies, that if we have a female and she's outside, that he'll want to go outside and be with her. And I'm like, yeah, when she's in the heat, and when she's not, he's going to be on the couch.
But you really want to keep that genetic line going?
I don't think he started out being, a miscreant, but now he is. I'm telling you, I blame Randy. It's Randy's fault. He did it.
You're just going to have to do tough love.
I'm going to electrify the crap out of our perimeter fence, and that's going to be my tough love. When he starts to climb over that thing, it's going to zap him back into the middle of the field.
Bring him down here, and Joe and Weezer will set him straight. So, also talking about dogs, Lincoln has Malone. It's a Labradoodle.
Okay.
So he is super excited about her. She is kind of cute. She's a little fur ball right now. So I like her. She's okay, but I'm not 100% sold on her still. So
okay.
So
I don't think Lincoln cares that you're sold on her or not.
Yeah, but I mean, he's been cuddling with her and everything, sitting in the floor, playing with her and all that stuff. So I'm happy that he has his own puppy now. So, all right, topic of the day. Since we're off Sasquatch and the Loch Ness Monster and aliens and all that, I watched a video last night that somebody sent to me, and then I sent it to you, and I was like, take a look at this. It's ADAPT 2030. He's talking about the cold front, or this polar vortex that's supposed to be coming through. I don't know if it's fear-mongering or not. I'll put it that way. But we are almost in January, so we know it's going to get cold. It's just a matter of how cold it gets.
Yeah.
But essentially, somewhere around January 8th, January 13th, there's supposed to be like a big polar vortex coming down from Canada. It's going to do essentially like Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, what part of it in Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, really all they said that the TVA, a lot of the TVA states where we get the power from. So a lot of the TVA states are in this. It's too far out. We're looking at, a week and a half to 2 weeks out from this. So the models might change a little bit.
I hope they do.
Yeah, I hope they do. I hope it stays. It can stay up in Indiana and northern Kentucky for all I care, and just stay away from there. But that kind of brought us in. I'm like, hey, Shelly, the big thing that I'm worried about, the cold temperatures aren't that bad. But what they're saying with the cold temperatures, and just like we had in Texas, when Texas had that deep freeze, the power grid was so overextended that they had to start cutting power, and these people were losing power, and then their houses were freezing up and stuff like that. So that's the part I'm worried about, is the extended power outage. So we can deal with cold temperatures, and really they're saying the temperatures might be 20 to 40 degrees below normal. So if our normal temperature for that time of the year is 40, it might be down to 20, or it might be down to 0. I can handle the cold temperatures. I'm just more worried about the power outage stuff. So some of the stuff on that, there might be a possible of a little bit of snow. They really don't know. And of course, a week and a half to 2 weeks out, stuff's going to change all the time. Heck, it'll change, from what it's going to do day to day in Kentucky. So there might be a little bit of possible snow. We could see lows actual temperature down to like -2 in south central Kentucky. So that's pretty cold for us, honestly.
Yeah.
So we kind of came up with, and I've got a ton of notes. I just went through just racking my brain on stuff that, if we've got the cold weather, how to prepare your stuff for this. And then also if we have the cold weather with the power outages, what you can do to survive the polar vortex is what we'll call it. Or can we call it the Bigfoot polar vortex?
The Bigfoot polar vortex.
But yeah, I mean, some of the things like stuff you can do for your house, and one of the biggest things is protect your pipes. If you've got exposed pipes, now if you still got power, they make heat wraps that you can just wrap the heat wrap around your pipes and plug it in. It keeps your pipes from freezing. Or you can still get the regular old insulation they look like pool noodles, and it's slit down the middle. You just slide that on there. Everybody always says let your faucets drip. I've never done that. We've
always done that. Like even when I was a kid, we've always done, just like a light drip. And I mean, we rarely have frozen pipe issues, but it's possible that we don't have frozen pipe issues because we have heat in the house and that's heating our pipes. So I don't know, but we've just always done. I mean, why not do it? I don't know.
And then one of the things is watch out, get those covers, the outside covers for your hydrants, your outside hydrants.
We have those.
That are on the house. Put those things on. And a big thing, those outside hydrants, they actually come into the house and they shut off on the inside of the house is the way they do it. But I've seen people before that they leave the hose hooked up to it, and that kind of negates all that stuff, especially if you leave a nozzle on the end of it. That negates the whole thing. And it's kind of funny. Plumbers will say, we drive around subdivisions and see who didn't unhook their hoses, and we know they'll be back. We'll be back to fix their frozen pipes after a cold snap and make some money. But and I'll tell you, one of the biggest things on your house, if you do lose power and you're worried about keeping the house warm, is turn the water off, the main water supply to the house, and drain your pipes. Because if your pipes don't have water in them, they're not going to freeze and bust.
Right.
So even if you've got PEX, go ahead and do that. Of course, they say PEX can freeze and expand to like twice its diameter or something, and it won't burst, but it's better not to even deal with that. I don't know what the PEX connections, if they can hold that, but everybody's like, I've got PEX in my house, it can freeze. That's cool. Put it for a test run and we'll see. So I don't trust it. But another thing, clean your gutters. Make sure your gutters are clean to where the water can get out, because if your gutters are backed up and you've got a thaw and the water's sitting in there, that can create ice dams, and then the ice can go up underneath your shingles and then cause leaks in your roof. That's stuff that a lot of people don't think about, is getting your gutters clean. Even in the summertime and the wintertime, just keep those gutters clean where they're working properly. So I know a lot of people seal up the drafts in your house. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have those little, what are they, little dog draft stoppers? They look like Datsuns or something. They'll put those on the door. They'll do that. If you don't have that, roll up towels or roll up blankets and put those at the door. And I tell you, one of the best money you'll ever spend is putting more insulation in your attic, because you lose a lot of heat out. And that's something easy to do, add more insulation in your attic. You lose so much, all your heat rises. So if it can just go right through into the attic, if you've got more insulation in that attic, your house is going to stay a lot warmer. I know the house that I live in now, I built it from the ground up. We waited until the last thing to put the insulation in the attic, because I told my dad, I said, as soon as we blow insulation in the attic, we're going to have to get up there and do something. It's going to be a pain in the butt working around all that insulation. But we had full power hooked up to the house and all that stuff, and we were running the propane furnace. And I could tell that the furnace would kick on more before we put that insulation in the attic. And then once we put the insulation in the attic, I'm like, that thing's running a third of the time it was before. So that told me we were losing a lot of heat.
Right. Makes a difference.
Yeah. And right now, I mean, we're setting, what is today? Today is the 29th of December. So, I mean, you probably got plenty of time. If you got the money, call the insulation company, have them come blow another, 12 inches of insulation in your attic. It's not horribly expensive to do that. I just got done with a project in a guy's barn doing a man cave in there. It was about 1,000 square feet. They did insulation in that whole thing, and it was like $2,500 to insulate that whole 1,000 square feet. That was walls and ceiling and everything.
Wow, that's cheap.
Yeah, and that's them doing everything. That's materials, labor, and all that. So,
wow.
I mean, heck, you might be able to get them to come out and just blow your attic for $1,000. you're gonna save that in a year pretty easy. So that's one of the big things. If you lose the more square footage you're heating and stuff like that, if you lose power, only try to heat the rooms that you're using. You know, if you've got 2 extra bedrooms and you're not using those, close the doors on those, stuff some towels in there, as long as there's no water lines or anything like that that can hurt. Just seal those rooms off. There's no reason to heat it if you're not going to be in there. Yeah. So do that. One of the big things too is during the daytime, if you've got south facing windows, make sure the curtains and the blinds are open on those windows to let the sunlight come in, like passive heating, because it's amazing how much warmth you can get with the sun shining through those windows. And then at night, and you could do this now and it'll still save you money, put blankets or some kind of heavy drapes over your windows. That's going to block a lot of the heat going out. So if you're in a grid down, no power, anything like that, take some blankets, tack them up against the windows, and that's going to save a lot of heat going out.
Yes.
So you see a lot of the older houses have super thick drapes and stuff like that, and they're all ornate and pretty and stuff like that, but they're thick as all get out, and they serve a purpose, not just for looking pretty. Yeah. One of the things, if you've got hardwood floor or tile, hardwood always feels cold, tile always feels cold. Put some rugs down. If you're going to be walking in your sock feet or your bare feet, put some rugs down. That's going to make you feel that much warmer. So, we've got hardwood and tile through our whole house. Our basement is all concrete, stained concrete floor, but we've got rugs down everywhere, and it just makes it so much nicer. But going along with that, carbon monoxide detectors. If you're going to be using alternative heat sources, and we'll get to the alternative heat sources in a minute, make sure you got carbon monoxide detectors in your house that work to let you know if you got too much carbon monoxide in the house or something crazy is going on. And along with that, you should have these regardless in every room that's got a heat source as fire extinguishers. I don't know how many people don't have fire extinguishers. And I'm sitting in my office in the shop, and not 6 feet from me is a monster fire extinguisher, and I've got another fire extinguisher right outside by the garage door, sitting here. So have the fire extinguishers there. I've got that. That's kind of some tips for your house, regardless, of whether you've got power or not. Those are things that you can do right now. Throw some extra insulation in your attic, seal up drafts, stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember long time ago, I'm thinking Samantha was probably 5. I think she was in kindergarten at the time. So it's been like 25 years ago, something like that. 24, whatever. But we lived in a house. We rented a house, and it was like it was a 4-bedroom farmhouse. There were 3 bedrooms upstairs. Really old farmhouse, had a big kitchen, big living room, all that stuff. It did not have it had like propane heaters that sat in the room, there was a wood stove in the back room that was like an office area, and then there was a propane heater in the living room. And it would not surprise me if that house had like no insulation in the walls.
Yeah.
I bet if you took the drywall down, there were probably wood planks up there. And I know upstairs there was this house had to be 100 years old, but upstairs there was some drywall coming off in one of the places that needed to be fixed. And underneath that was wallpaper, and underneath that was newspaper. And then underneath that was wood planks, and you saw outside.
Yeah.
Or you could see the tin roof, not outside, but you could see the tin roof that covered the house. So there was no like insulation like what you would have now kind of thing. And I remember Randy drove over the road, and so he would be gone like 2 weeks at a time at that time. And it was so cold in that house, and even with the heat running, having the propane heater going, I shut off half of the house. Me and the girls slept in our bed and had like 6 blankets piled up. It was freezing in that house. And it had big, tall windows in it. We had blankets on the windows and all that kind of thing. I seriously think the wind came through the walls. Like it was so bad. But I remember we spent like 2 days in the house. And then I called my mom and I was like, I can't do this. And she goes, pack up them girls and come over here. And my mom lived in the next town. And this was before cell phones and everything. The next time that Randy called home, I was like, I'm going to my mama's. Bye. I was like, I can't do this. It's too freaking cold. So, and we still had power and all of that stuff. It was, oh my God, it was horrible.
Oh yeah, it can get bad when you got an old house and no insulation and stuff like that. I mean, you're just constantly throwing heat and everything else out there, and you never get warm, never get the house done and stuff like that. But hey, guys, if y'all got comments, drop some comments on what y'all do and what y'all's preparedness stuff is, and what y'all are doing for your house on how to keep it warm and stuff like that. We can continue the conversation in the comments for sure. Alternative heat sources for the house. So this is, what we're looking at and what they're saying is we possibly might have power outages, like a longer term power outage. So I was racking my brain on alternative heat sources. Shelly, go ahead and show us. Can you show us? And I've got this on here. We did not talk about this before, but we talked a minute ago, and before this, Shelly is like, I've got an idea. And she showed me, and I was like, I've got that on my list. So show us your science project.
This is just a little DIY thing. And I have seen this, on different videos, people talking about this, just an idea. And again, this is something that, this is the first time I have ever tried this. And so I'm going to give you, tell you how it's working so far. I think I'm on 2 hours. Because didn't I tell you I started this at 5?
Yeah.
So it's 7 now. But this is, I'm just like, if we do lose power and all that stuff, what have I got on hand? So like right now I have a a kerosene heater down in the basement. And we have kerosene that we could possibly bring up. But just like Jason said a little bit ago, you need to make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff because, it's like open flame and all of that. But what do I have on hand that I could possibly heat up a room in my house? So I've been seeing these things. Have any of you all seen this?
The terracotta pots.
Yeah, terracotta pots. So basically what this is, let me show you what I've got here. I've got this big pot on the bottom. This is an 8-inch, I think. It's an 8-inch pot on the bottom. And I kind of feel like the bigger the terracotta pot you have, the more heat you're going to get off of it. So this is an 8-inch pot on the bottom. This is a 6-inch pot that I picked up today from Lowe's. This was like $3.50. And the only reason I picked these up from Lowe's is because I didn't want to go dig out in my garage for clay pots that I had outside in the garage. But this was $3.50. The 8-inch pot on the bottom, I think, was $8. I had a bunch of these because we did a baby shower and we baked cupcakes in these. So I had a bunch of these stacked, in the corner. And that's why I used those. You could use, here's mason jars. You could put mason jars on here in place of these little mason jars. You could also do this. You don't have to go out and spend all kinds of money on this, but if you have a cake pan and you can put your tea light or several tea lights in the bottom of the cake pan. Also, if you have like these kind of little votive candles, you can put those in the bottom of the cake pan, and you can turn this upside down on the cake pan. the key to this is that you have airflow underneath this thing and you've got airflow out the top. Like right now, this is hot, too hot for me to touch. Okay. So I'm going to put this back over here. And since I've had it off of here, I think I might have messed my heat up. Right. But I just want to show you, it doesn't have to be that you go out and buy clay pots or whatever. However, the pot that you have on top, that's kind of key. This is what's going to radiate heat. And it needs to have, I'm trying to get it in the picture. It needs to have that hole coming out of the top too. Because that's where, I mean, there's heat coming out of that right now. So I've had this going for 2 hours with one tea light candle. And that one tea light candle, I've probably got about 30 more minutes. I mean, it's melted where it's clear, but there's still wax in the bottom of it. And the last time I checked this, the top of this was like 124 degrees. Right now it's 110 because I took it off and I've, been showing it around or whatever. But this has been going since 5 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock right now. And this room that I'm in, my office is small. It's probably, I don't know, I'd say like 12 feet by 10 feet, something like that. And I can feel the heat coming off of this. Like it's been sitting here next to me the whole time we've been talking, and I can feel there's warmth coming off of this. So I kind of think this works. Like I said, if you had a bigger pot, it would probably heat a bigger space. You would have to have multiple candles underneath that. But I mean, we've got candles sitting around the house, right? That, like people give us candles for Christmas and all that stuff. I've got candles sitting around. I don't burn candles a lot, but I could definitely do this. You could also, if you didn't have the bottom pot, you could set bricks, prop this up with bricks. The key to this is that you have airflow at the bottom and then the air coming out the top. Okay. But you could put bricks down here and set the pot on the bricks, put a tea light candle in there or a votive candle or whatever kind of candle you have, and have that airflow going through there. And I think that the bricks would heat up just like this does and give you more radiant heat. Am I saying that right? Is it radiant heat that comes off of this? Yeah.
You could use sterno cans if you wanted to.
Yes. Those are, you could totally do that, especially if you had a bigger pot. I think sterno cans might be too big for this, but if I had a bigger pot, it would heat it up really well, I think.
I've got a bunch of those sterno cans that somebody gave me.
But I think this is, now this isn't going to heat my whole house, but it would definitely, like I could put this in our bedroom, and I have carpet in here, but we have wood floors in our bedroom. And I could put this in my bedroom and like set it on something and heat up my bedroom. I'm pretty confident that I could do that, especially if I put like a blanket over the window, which we have. Our windows are we have decent windows. There's not drafty air coming through there. But if I closed off my bedroom, I think I could heat my whole bedroom with this thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I'm kind of loving this.
Yeah, I mean, and I got some of your alternative heat sources. First off, and the easiest one's a generator.
Right.
If you got your generator that's big enough to run your furnace, I mean, you're golden. So that's kind of a no-brainer. Get your generator out, plug it up, run your heat, you're good to go. Most people, or a lot of people, homestead, prepper, stuff like that, they've already got a wood stove or a fireplace.
Right.
So you can use your wood stove or your fireplace. I know some people heat all the time with wood. We don't, but we've got it set to where we can heat with wood if we want to. And then also a pellet stove. The only downside, there's one pellet stove that I know of that does not use electricity, but all your pellet stoves use a little bit of electricity for the blower and for the auger to feed those.
I don't understand what a pellet stove is. Is that like this? Does that use the same thing as like our smoker that has the pellet with the auger in it? Is it kind of the same thing as that?
It's kind of the same thing, except for I think the pellets might be different. I don't know if it's
like they're not hickory or applewood.
Yeah. Your house would constantly smell like barbecue.
Right.
But They're essentially almost the same pellet, but I don't know if they're made from different stuff or not.
So are you using the pellets as fuel?
Yes,
Is that
the pellets are the fuel. Most
Okay.
of your pellet stoves will also burn corn also. So
Huh.
yeah, so you have to have, most of the pellet stoves will have a blower to blow the heat out, and they have an auger that feeds the pellets into the fire.
So are you talking about like dry deer corn?
Yeah.
Like
Just
we have barrels of that in our barn that we feed to our pigs when we run out of feed. Like I could burn that and heat my house.
Yeah. If you buy, and most of the pellet stoves will burn pellets and corn.
That's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's
So
something.
if I had a solar panel on my house, could that run the pellet stove if it ran on electricity?
Yeah.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah. So I mean, you could run a solar panel, because it's not the only thing it's doing. And I'm pretty sure on those pellet stoves you can turn the blower off. I'm not sure if you have to. I've never messed with pellet stoves that much, but I think you can turn the blower off and just have the auger run, and the auger's not going to run continuously on it. So if you had a small little solar system, you could run that pellet stove. Another one that I've got is the propane heaters, like the little buddy or the big buddy heaters.
Oh yeah.
Or a wall mount or a floor mount unit, like the blue flame ones that they sell at Tractor Supply. You can get one of those. Those things put out quite a bit of BTUs, and you can pull them out when you need them and put them up when you don't need them. They don't take any exhaust. You can run those indoors without having to worry about the carbon monoxide.
Okay, I have a question back to the pellet stove, because I've Googled this now.
I know. You were shopping on Amazon earlier when
I know. So these pellet stoves, some of them have vents and some of them don't.
They all have to be vented.
They all have to be vented. Well, these ones that they don't have, like, I mean, maybe I'm not seeing it because it goes into the wall behind it or something, but they don't look like they're vented.
I'm pretty sure they've got to be vented because you got combustion in there.
So can you, if you have a pellet stove, can you only use pellets in it?
Yes.
You can't put, because they look like wood burning stoves, but they're absolutely not wood burning stoves.
No, just pellets.
Okay.
Because
the
venting on those is different. They're not, you don't have to vent those near as much as a wood burning stove.
So you don't have to have a pipe coming out, because these don't have pipes coming out of the top.
Most of them are vented out the back a lot.
So they just vent into the room.
No, they're vented outside. You still have to have a chimney going outside.
Okay, because these pictures, they don't look like there's chimneys going out. But I believe you, because like when I saw that there wasn't a chimney, I'm like, how are you not dying from this? But
yeah,
okay.
So we'll research this further.
Yeah, I'm really interested in these pellet stoves, but go ahead.
Yeah. The only downside with the pellet stoves is in a grid down situation, long term, how are you going to make pellets? How are you going to get pellets? That's a bad thing. And then also, if you get one that'll burn pellets and or corn would be easier to get. But then, if it's grid down, they're not running the big John Deere tractors and harvesting thousands of acres of corn either.
Right.
So,
what about, okay, I have a question, and this may be on your list, but what about, like, we have natural gas, and we got a natural gas heater that hangs on the wall, and Randy's we haven't put it up yet, but he's going to buy the fixtures and everything to do that. And it doesn't require electricity to run this thing, which is the main reason that we want to put it up, so we can still heat at least our living room and our bedroom if something happens. But if you have a grid down situation, that cuts off natural gas too, right?
Most of the time the natural gas is going to run.
You think?
Yes, unless it's a major grid down. Now, if you've got earthquakes and stuff like that, that might rupture the natural gas lines.
Gotcha.
But typically typically if it's a grid down, like what we're talking about, a wintertime grid down thing,
like brownouts and blackouts and stuff,
yeah,
your natural gas is going to continue to flow.
the natural gas will continue to flow. But then also, if it gets so cold, sometimes the natural gas will freeze up.
Ah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you've got to watch that. But I mean, most of these whole house generators that people put on their houses are running off natural gas. If they're in the city, if they're in the country, they're running off propane.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, another one I've got are the kerosene heaters. I mean, kerosene heaters. I mean, I've got 3 kerosene heaters, and I can stick those things in, and man, those jokers put out some stinking heat. That's for sure.
They do. They really do.
If you can put up with the smell, I hate the smell of the kerosene heaters, though. That's
well, and if you don't have it dialed in exactly, they can smoke and like get black all over your ceiling and stuff. You got to really be careful with them, but they do crank out some heat.
Yeah. And then also, I just thought about this. Those Vivor, they're all over TikTok, those little diesel heaters that they make now. I've thought about buying one of those just to try it out, and I might order one of those this week and get it. But everybody loves those things on TikTok, and supposedly they put out quite a bit of heat, and they really just sip diesel fuel and don't take a whole lot of diesel fuel. So I had the terracotta pot heaters on there also. One of the other things I touched on before is your passive solar. If you got those south-facing windows and the sun's out, pull those blinds open, let all that sun shine in, and then once the sun goes down, close your shades and trap some of that heat. Like my parents have got on their house, they call it the sunroom, but it's just a back room off the house. It's just got all windows. Mm-hmm. And man, even in the wintertime, they don't have the heat going in there, but even in the wintertime, it's as warm, if not warmer, than the rest of the house with just all the sun shining in there.
Right. I could probably turn that into a greenhouse area.
Yeah.
Those Vapor heaters, the diesel heaters that you were just talking about, they're right at, I mean, you can get one of those for like $90.
Yeah. They're
not super expensive.
Yeah. And from what I've seen, they really just kind of sip on fuel, and they'll run quite a long time on a full tank of diesel. And the last one I've got on there is gas logs. I mean, gas logs take no electricity to run. I mean, some of them are fancy with the remote controls and all that kind of crap, but like the gas logs in my house, they're all manual, and they've got they got the same igniters like what your gas grill's got, where you strike it kind of thing. So I mean, I can turn the gas logs on down in the basement and raise that basement 15 to 20 degrees in no time. So gas logs are another good thing, whether you're going to run on natural gas or whether you're going to run on propane. But that's kind of some of the alternative stuff that you got if you've got no electricity. I wanted to hit generators real quick. If you've got a generator, you need to get that thing out today.
And test it.
Put fuel in it and make sure that thing is ready to run. So don't do it when the power goes out and your wife hollers at you and it's like, hey, we've not got any power. And you're like, oh, I need to run down to the shop, or I need to run out to the garage, and you're trying to start the thing. It's the same thing. Don't learn how to use your medical equipment, or don't learn how to use your gun when you need it. Learn how to use all that stuff before and make sure it's good to go.
Right.
So make sure it's ready to run. Have extension cords already pre-planned and pre-placed, and map it out a little bit. You know, if I'm going to have the generator sitting 20 feet from the house, measure it out and figure out how far I need a cord to get into my furnace, or how far I need a cord to get into the refrigerator and freezers. Do all that stuff, because when you're in the thick of it is not the time to run out to the hardware store and be like, oh, I need 200 feet cords or something like that. Have all that stuff sitting there and pre-planned. Make sure you keep your generator. It should go without saying, don't run the generator in your garage or in your house. It's sad, but people die every year of carbon monoxide poisoning because they run their generator in the garage or in the house or too close to the house. People do it. make sure it's a safe enough distance away from your house to keep
it
it.
needs to be outside.
Yeah, I mean, my generator, I've got my big generator that we can plug into the house. I've got a 30-foot cord. So I run it about 25 feet from the house to where all the carbon monoxide, all the exhaust will get blown away when the wind's blowing. No problems with that. Another one, make sure you've got plenty of fuel for that generator. Whether you're running gasoline, propane, or diesel fuel, make sure you've got plenty of fuel for that. And then if you're like, oh, I just need 20 gallons of fuel, go ahead and get 40 gallons of fuel and have it sitting there. If you don't use it this time, rotate it out. And one thing that people don't think about, have extra parts and extra oil for that generator. So you don't want the generator to shut down. Most of your generators have a low oil shutdown to where if the oil gets too low, they're going to shut down. Then you're sitting there screwed going, man, I wish I had another quart of oil to put in this thing. And also, if you're running this thing long enough, you're going to need to shut it down and change the oil in it and look at the intervals of what you need to change your oil at. So I've got that. I've got a few other considerations that you might want to think about in all this that some people might overlook. If it's cold enough that the water freezes up, or you have to shut your water down, and if it goes long enough, the water towers, the way the water towers work is they pump water up to the top of the water tower. When it hits a certain level, they'll pump water up to the top of the water tower in the holding tank. And then the water coming down from that elevation is what gives you the water pressure for your house water. If we don't have power long enough, they can't pump the water up to deliver it to your house. So eventually, if those pumps don't run long enough, you run out of water. So how are you going to get water? And then everybody's like, well, I've got my rainwater catchment system on my shop, which I'm guilty of saying this. I've got it on the shop. But if it's 20 or 0 outside, your tanks are frozen up. So you've got 275-gallon chunks of ice is what you've got.
Yeah.
So have some water stored to where it will not freeze, whether that's getting a 55-gallon drum and bringing it in your garage, or bringing it in your basement, or getting 5-gallon containers and keeping them inside to have water to drink, cook food, take a bath, all that kind of stuff. Warm clothes. Everybody's guilty of this anymore. Everybody's like, I'm going to set my thermostat on 70 degrees, and it doesn't matter if it's June or if it's January, I'm going to walk around in my house in bare feet, in shorts and a t-shirt. You know, if you don't have power, you're going to be wearing shoes and socks and long pants and a sweatshirt in there. And it's not going to be a perfect 70 degrees. It might be 50 degrees in your house, and you're going to need those clothes on.
Right.
Another thing, cooking. How are you going to cook? What's it up to?
It's 120.
That's pretty good for a little candle. Yeah. That.
I mean, I can feel the heat coming off of it, and the heat coming out the top, and yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I put more tea lights down there, it would get even warmer, which that tea light has been running for almost 2.5 hours, and it's still burning. So I think you probably get about 2.5 hours. It's almost gone. But if I put like 3 down there, I think it'd get pretty warm.
Yeah. Another thing, if you don't have electricity, most people's ovens and stoves and everything run on electricity. So if you don't have a big enough generator to run your oven, how are you going to cook food? You know, if it's 0 outside, I'm not real apt to go out and grill a steak, honestly. I'll do it if I have to, but figure out a different way to cook food, you know, to where you can cook it inside. Don't bring your Coleman stove or your gas grill inside and cook like that. That's right there with doing your generator stuff. But figure out, have some foods that are easy to cook. And I'm not a big fan of pre-cook and pre-packaged stuff and everything, but maybe for a week it's not going to kill you to have some pre-packaged stuff. So
it's also not a bad idea for you to, because like I used to be a Girl Scout leader, and I can cook just about anything in a cast iron Dutch oven. Like, it doesn't matter. I can cook desserts. I can bake in it. I can cook all kinds of stuff in a Dutch oven. It's not a bad idea for you to have some, pieces of firewood stacked up on your porch or something like that, that you could build a fire right there, like out in your yard in front of your house or whatever, and set that Dutch oven out there and cook. I mean, it's a good idea to have just as a backup. I mean, having the generator, having all of that stuff, but if you don't have that stuff, have a backup. Look around your kitchen and figure out what can I cook with? What can I make happen? And maybe it's that you have like a bunch of peanut butter and loaves of bread. I mean, I don't know, but have a backup plan. Don't get caught without food, without, warmth, heat. Make sure you have plenty of clothes to wear, all of that stuff. Just have a plan.
Yeah.
Everybody's in a different place.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can do a lot. I mean, figure some stuff out. I mean, if the only way you got is to cook on your grill, throw your North Face jacket on, your Carhartt overalls, and go out there and cook on your grill.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and honestly, if you've got, I've done this before. It's been raining, and we wanted to cook on the Blackstone. So I just throw the garage doors open and cook with the garage doors open. I mean, it's going to, I didn't die the 20 or 30 times I've done it. So, I mean, do that. Two of the big things that really struck me, and I thought about this, that people probably don't think about. One of them is if you've got your solar generators, your solar generators, your power stations, whatever you want to call those things are running on lithium-ion batteries. They don't like it when it's super cold, and they will not charge when it's super cold outside. And most of your solar generators, the cords on those things from the solar panel to the generator, the cord that you use to connect it is maybe only 10 feet long. So if it's 0 degrees outside and you've got to take your solar generator outside to charge, it's not going to charge because it's going to be too cold to charge that battery. So if you've got that, check and see how long your cords are from your solar panels to your solar generator, because you might have just screwed yourself. If you've got to have that solar generator sitting outside where it's too cold for it to charge, you might need 50 feet of cord to where you can bring that solar generator inside and run it, through the window and close your window down as much as you can to have your panel sitting outside. That's if you've got like a portable system. If you've got, mounted solar panels in your yard or your house, you've got the wiring coming in to where you can do all that kind of stuff. But that's something everybody buys, the Anchor, the EcoFlow and stuff like that, that's portable. Check that out and watch about your temperatures. And then probably one of the things that a lot of people don't think about is have all your clothes washed and dried.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because that's the last thing you want to do, is have to worry about trying to run a clothes washer and a clothes dryer in a grid down situation just so you can have some clean pants. I mean, wash everything. Get everything washed as you can. You're not going to be totally caught up because the clothes you got on right now need to be washed. But especially if you have small kids and stuff like that. I know when Lincoln was young, man, he could run through 2 or 3 sets of clothes in the afternoon just doing stuff. So have as much clothes washed and dried as you can, and that's just one less thing you've got to worry about when a power outage, and especially a power outage when it's cold, because you're not going to hang your T-shirts out to line dry when it's 0 outside. Is there anything I forgot, Shelly?
Well, the one thing that we didn't really talk about, on the homestead is your animals.
Yeah.
And honestly, y'all, if you, like we have big IBC totes that we use to water our pigs, and it's going to have to get really cold, really, really, really cold to freeze all that water in that IBC tote. And we've got the black covers that go over them. Now that doesn't heat them, but when the sun hits the black cover, it will warm that up a little bit. And that helps with it freezing. But if you're in a situation that it is that cold that it's freezing all your water's frozen, there's a power outage, all of that stuff, I mean, I know it sounds awful, but there's not a lot you're going to be able to do for your animals. I mean, it is what it is. Pray for the best. Hope that, everybody comes out healthy on the other side. I don't know. That's the only thing. I feel like we've got pretty much we've got good control over everything here in the house. I just don't know, because the way that we heat our waters for our chickens is with electricity. If the electricity goes out, then, and you can just like Jason was talking about, storing gallons of water in the basement for you to use if your water freezes up or something. I guess you could do that for animals too, but it's going to take a lot of water.
Yeah.
Feed to water animals. And then, the minute you take it out there, within a couple hours, it's going to be frozen too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is for that in these kind of situations, but
there's not there. I mean, just keeping it changed out. Don't put, if you've got a 50-gallon tank for your animals, don't fill it full of 50 gallons because it's going to freeze before they can drink all of it. More or less put in 5 gallons. If they're going to drink 5 gallons before it freezes, put in 5 gallons, let them drink that up. And then, put another 5 gallons in later on that day when they get thirsty again. It sounds kind of harsh, but that's kind of the way it is. I'll probably, once we see how this temperature and this polar vortex deal is going to track and how cold it's going to get, I'll probably take an IBC tote and put it in the shop and fill it up, put it in the shop, fill it all the way up, and I'll have 275 gallons of water that's not going to freeze on me, because I can keep the shop. It's got to get super cold for a super long time for my shop to get down below freezing.
Well, and you've got that wood stove out there. You don't even need electricity to run it.
Yeah.
You've got the wood stove that you can keep a fire going out there and keep it. It might not be like, you might still have to wear some clothes or whatever, but it would keep it warm enough to keep your water from freezing.
Oh yeah. And then along, and we touched on it when we did the other thing, preparing for winter on the homestead. I'm not going to put straw out for the animals in the barn, because they don't go in there. They sit underneath the cedar tree and they're like, we're cool. So I'm not wasting money on straw. So I'll make sure they've got enough to eat out there to where they keep their bellies warm and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
people are always like, oh my gosh, those cows and those sheep are so cold, freezing out there with all the snow on their back. And they're like, if there's snow on their back when it's snowing, that means they're insulated enough that their body heat is not melting the snow that's going on top of them. If the snow's melting on top of them, then it's not, their insulation factor is not there. Right. So that, and then like our livestock guard dogs love it when it's freaking cold.
We've gotten down in the 20s. We've had some days that got down, or nights that got down in the 20s the last month or so. And when Loki is in the house, he just lays around, usually on his back, spread eagle, because I guess he's trying to cool his whole body or something. And he'll lay there panting the whole time, wanting to go outside. So he's usually out in the backyard at night. He doesn't want to stay in the house because it's warm in here, and he's seriously insulated.
Yeah. If you can keep those animals dry and out of the wind, they're perfectly fine.
Yeah.
So that, and then just put as little water as you can out for them, what they'll drink, and then be done with it. Make sure they got enough feed. And that's about all you can do for them.
Yeah.
So, but guys, leave some comments if you got some stuff that y'all think about that we might have forgot. I know we might have forgot something. This is not an all-inclusive list, but leave some comments, and we will see y'all on the next one. We appreciate it.
Bye.